Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is Tiffany at Dynamite-Acres. We got a very special delivery this morning. At around 6 a.m. the post office called and said, your chicks are in. So these cute little fuzzballs came in today. Most likely they were hatched on Monday and today is Wednesday morning. So I'm very excited to show you my chicks and how I set up for them. In the future, I hope to be able to hatch my own chicks. Right now, that's just not a possibility for our farm. So I really love chick day when the chicks come in. So I spend a couple of days getting ready. And one of the things that I do is I pull this plastic kennel in. Now, if you watched my video on scur problems where our goat Emma broke off one of her scurs, I talk about how this kennel and how much I love it. I have 2 of these, and this is just another reason why I love this kennel. So as you can see, I've taken it apart. The bottom is over here, and the top is over there. What we've done is we've just laid them flat, and then we've taken 2x6s, and through the holes where you would normally bolt the kennel together, we've screwed the 2x6s to the kennel. It produces a really great frame for then this wire exercise pin to lay on. Now I use this exercise pin for several things. It keeps the chicks in so they can't pop out. It keeps the cat out, although our cat does really great with the chicks. It's just an extra layer of security. Now I like to put my heat lamp right above the bottom of the kennel. Now the reason why is because it stays warmer. My thermometer's in there, and right now it's at 92 degrees Fahrenheit, so perfect for these baby chicks. I leave this side, which is the ventilated side, without the heat lamp, but closer to the fireplace, so that the chicks can get away from the 90 degrees if they get hot, but they still have a nice, warm, well-ventilated area to play around and get something to eat and drink. So they have lots of space. Now we are in the house. Why are we in the house? Well, for one thing, it's a farmhouse. Sometimes we have animals in here. Secondly, we have a brooder house. It's insulated, it has a thermostat, it has multiple heat lamps. It can turn the lights on and off depending on the temperature. But April, we are in the first part of April here in Montana, is still not always the warmest month. Right now, it's about 14 degrees Fahrenheit outside. And it is just not economical for me to try to heat my brooder house to 90 degrees, which is what these little babies need. Sometimes I take these plastic kennels and I flip them over and I make like a hood, and I put the heat lamp under it, and they have like a little space that's 90 degrees. It still just takes a lot of energy. So for the first couple of weeks, I like my chicks in the house. I can check on them more often. I can keep a really close eye on that heat lamp that's going to be running nonstop. You know, I just really like them inside. Once they've been inside for a couple of weeks, then I'll take them out to the brooder house. They're going to be healthier, they're going to be stronger, and then they're going to be super excited to get all that space to run around. When you first get your baby chicks, your infant chicks, they really need to be at 90 degrees. Then after that, every week after that, so 90 degrees for the first week, then the temperature goes down by 5 degrees until you can get down to the point where they can go without a heat lamp or only a heat lamp part of the day. So that first couple 3 weeks can be a little tricky. So this is just what we have done, and like I said, we just love our chickens so much, so it's kind of nice to have them in the house and get to really bond with them. All right, let me show you how I get them out of the box and I make sure all of them are healthy. All right, as I put these precious little babies in here, I'm going to be looking at each one. I want to check their beak and their eyes to make sure there's no discharge. I also want to check their rears and make sure we don't have any discharge or anything back there that looks abnormal. I'm going to put them in here, and I want them to get a drink. So if they don't get a drink on their own right away, I'm just going to lightly put their beak down in that water. These guys have been in transit or in shipping for 36 to 48 hours, so they haven't had anything to drink. And I want to make sure that they figure out where the water is and that they get a really good drink. Hey, your turn. You'll notice that the water is yellow. This is because the water has electrolytes in it. Again, they've been in transit, so they have not had a drink in many hours. So I want to build their bodies up quickly and healthy so that they can grow up nice and big. Look at that one over there, he's already eating. So speaking of eating, if you choose to have your chicks vaccinated for Merck's disease or coccidiosis, you need to be aware that they need to have a non-medicated chick grower. Very important. You can pay for the vaccination, and then if you feed them a medicated chick grower, you actually void that vaccination. And you know, it's difficult if you don't realize you need unmedicated, which sometimes is hard to find. Make sure you ask at your feed store or check your label really good. And then the chicks come and you need to feed them and give them water right away. And if you don't have medicated food on hand, you know, it can be difficult to get some. But it will be marked on the box if you've vaccinated your chicks that they need the non-medicated grower. Everybody looks really good. They're definitely headed after the food. All right. And so this is what we're going to keep doing. It'll take me a little while, but I will go through all 150 chicks. Everybody will get a drink of water, and then they will probably right away go over and start eating food. Cute little guys, aren't they? Okay, so everybody's in here. Everybody's had a drink. And you'll see that I've added the grow gel. So that's something I get from the hatchery. And it's literally a gel. It's a gelatin that provides the chicks with easy to digest nutrients. So what that does is allows their underdeveloped digestive systems to get a substantial amount of nutrients fairly quickly. You can see that the bowl over there underneath the heat lamp is very popular. And there's a little plate on the other side. Some of the braver ones are starting to head over to the other side. And basically, I'm just going to spend a little bit of time just watching them. So I'm looking for any of the chicks that are like pecking on a neighboring chick, because that can indicate that they're hungry, but they aren't sure where the food is. Right now in this little area here, in just the bottom where the heat is, they have 4 sources of food and 3 sources of water. You'll notice that I am not using the trays with the top that has the holes in it. Those are great when the chicks get a little older. I have found that at this age, when they're this small, they can sometimes climb in those and get stuck. So I don't like to use those. I am just using pet bowls. They're just little crocks, and I have the food and the gel in it. Now, the thing about the gel, if you decide to use it, is anything that the chicks have not eaten in 24 hours needs to be taken out and disposed of. Do not leave it in there longer than that. Same thing with the water. My personal policy is to refresh the water every 24 hours at a minimum. I tend to refresh it every 12 hours with fresh electrolytes. So I make up a gallon of electrolyte water and I use it. If my gallon of water has not been used in the next 24 hours, I dump it out and I make fresh. Normally I use it all. I try really hard not to make too much ahead of time, so then that way there isn't any waste. These guys look great. Everybody made it through the shipping process. I'm very happy with the hatchery. It's amazing that these little chicks can be hatched and then shipped out within hours, not have any food and water for a couple of days, and they will thrive. On occasion, you might lose one. It's the sad reality of it, but it's such an amazing setup, because if they were hatched by a hen, they wouldn't all hatch at the same time. And the mama hen cannot leave her nest until they've hatched. So she can't take that first chick that's hatched and take it over to the food and water until everybody has hatched. And it can take up to 3 days for an entire clutch of eggs to hatch. So the older ones have to just sit tight without any food and water until mom is ready to take all of the baby chicks over to the food and water. So as a result, we can do this, which is to ship out our chicks. And as long as you get them within that first 72-hour window, they thrive. These little guys are just going to get stronger and stronger as we go throughout the day. Aren't they just the cutest? Such a cool world we live in. They're a little crowded right now because they're too scared of the other side, but they'll go out to the other side here pretty soon. And they won't stay in this kennel for very long because there are too many of them once they start getting bigger. So I have a horse tank that I can bring in and I can separate them out. Like I said, I have a second kennel like this. I'll lay it out if I need to. But most likely, by the time they're getting too crowded in this kennel, they will be moved out to their big brooder house. I think my brooder house is about 450 square feet in the main part, and there's other places they can get shelter as well. And then it has a flight pen, and then as they get bigger and they're faster so they can get away from the predators, I'll even let them out to free range with the big hens. As you can see, there's one that doesn't look like the others. So our hatchery, when we order this many chicks, offers a mystery chick. And you don't have to get the mystery chick if you don't want to. We always do because it's fun to raise that chick and figure out what kind it is, learn about a different type of chicken. There's all kinds of benefits to having a mystery chick. Well, I'll give you updates over the next couple of weeks on how the chicks are doing. Thanks for watching.